Okay, we're beginning a new parak, the eighth parak. What? Okay, Pezayin Amad Aleph. Ha'isha Bizman Shehi Bebeis Baila. Now we know that a person has to be, in order to bring the Korban Pesach, they have to be counted in. So we know a woman has a time that she lives by her father. After she gets betrothed to her husband through Erisin, for 12 months she still lives by her father. And then then after Nisuin, she goes to her husband's house. So under discussion is, whose Korban Pesach is she counted into? Ha'isha Bizmanshi bebeis baila, when she's in that base baila in her husband's house, Shachar laha baila b'shachar laha aviyah, and they both have it in mind. Who does she eat from? Toichel mishel baila. Skostam, she gets married. Her mind is with her husband, so her mindset was to be included, counted in the Korban Pesach of her husband. That's the first case. Okay, that's the first case.
You compare this to Truma, the same Truma, right? So just like the Truma, but then she gets married, she others.
It depends. No, that's a different din. That her husband's a Yisrael. No, this
Why should this be the same as that?
No, this is a din to do. Who did she have in mind to eat with? No, they both counted her in Minastam. So we don't care about them as much as we care about. So who did she go with? Right. So now the next case is Holcha Regal Rishon Lases Bebeis Aviyah. No, they get married. What do we know? The Yantif, you go to the girl's house, right? Right? She goes home to daddy. It's like written into the unwritten thing.
Sorry, he sounds like I'm leaving.
He's not, but he's counting me for Purim. That counts a lot more. He wouldn't miss Purim. He told, I thought it was like a prenup. He said Purim or nothing. Purim by us is Geshmak. So he's coming for Purim. Anyway, so the base aviyah, the first regal, Shachar aleha aviyah, the Shachar aleha baila, they both shecht. Toichal b'makam she writes. She can eat from ever she wants to. Now, guys, let's go through this. So, accustomed to go to your father's house, the custom is to go to your father's house, the regal, and minastam, not the first regal, you're going to go with the husband, right? Not the father. But since the first regal, she goes home to daddy, she can choose who she wants. Now, there's a sugya in Shas, Mendy, the Kohen's favorite sugya, which is, say it. Breira. Breira. Very good. His favorite sugya is Breira. Now, at which point in time is she making this decision? Pashtus, when she eats. Good. In other words, daddy has her in mind, hubby has her in mind. Yeah? Now, b'shas achila, she says, okay, I'm going to go to this one. That means you have to come on to Breira, meaning retroactively at the time of the Shechita, it's Mavara that she wanted to go with this one. She didn't state it. She didn't say anything, right? She didn't say anything. So this is, Breira works, we say retroactively, something that takes place later on clarifies at an earlier time what exactly was supposed to be. So b'shas achila, we're going to say she had in mind which one, which is a problem because we all name Breira. We only hold Yesh Breira by, you remember, by Erevin, guys. By Erevin, if the Rebbe is coming from this way, the Rebbe is coming this way. If I want in this direction, that direction. That's when we had Breira. Right? My 2,000 amas over here, 2,000 amas over there. Whichever way my Rebbe comes, over a dollar from here. That's where I wanted to be. That was the Breira, right? So over here, we're going to get, it's a Breira problem. The Gemara is going to answer, means she makes a statement, B'shas Shchita. In other words, B'shas Shchita, we're going to have to ask her. So what's the Chiddush then? She eats wherever she wants. Good. Wherever you decide you're going to eat, everyone eats there. That's the Korban Pesach. You decide where you're going to eat, right? So what's the Chiddush? Okay, and we'll get into that soon. So two cases. The first case, Minastam, she's going to go to the husband. Let's see, Rashi, Ha'isha Toichel Mishabayla, the Mistama, probably, Daita Limonis al Shel Baila. Her mind was to be counted in with her husband. Kol Sheman, the whole time, Shlei Pirsha Shu Daita B'Shel Aviyah, as long as she didn't say anything, she's with her husband. However, when the first regel, you go to daddy's house, that umdana, that she goes there, right? That takes off the stam. Since she goes to her father's house back, you don't say min stam she had a husband in mind because she's accustomed to going to daddy's house. That's why you need what? Once she's there, okay. Next case. Yasim sheshachtu alav aputrapsin, a yasim who has two guardians, two people of power attorney over him. They both shech the carbon pesach. Yochel b'makom shiraitza. He eats wherever he wants, and again, it's going to be a shiloh of breira, the same thing. That it becomes huvra dov and lemafreya where he wanted to eat. Now, no, it's not a cut. Again, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Cuts butter, right? Aputrapsin again, if he's 13 years old. It's short. Now, Eved shel shnei shutafin. You have an Eved of two partners. Lo yochel mishel shneim. He can't eat of either one because the chelik that's owned by the other is ma'akif of meat and Karm Pesach. Right? Of course. Oh, any Eved's Eved Kanani. Eved is a full-fledged Jew. Yeah. But an Eved Kanani, guys, is mechuyev Mrs. Kisha. And a woman is mechuyev in the carbon pesach, right? We know that. That an Eved Kanani is mechuyev. You make a bracha every day. Shloisani goy, shloisani oved. So you see, he's drega above a goy, and then shloisani isha. Misha chetziv Eved v'chetziv en chayrin. Again, you had two partners in an Eved. Then one of them frees it, so now he's a free man. The halacha is, guys, if Eved Kanani is freed, he's a full-fledged Jew. He just has to go to the mikvah. The Eved Kanani gets a bris milah, but when he becomes an Eved Kanani and he's owned by a Jew, he gets a bris milah and he goes to the mikvah. But he's still an Eved Kanani. If he's freed, the act of freedom, the master writes him a get shechra, right? He writes him a get to free him, and he goes to he goes to the mikvah and he's a full-fledged Jew. So this guy is half a Jew and half a non-Jew. So the Gemara in this discusses this Masechta Gittin Machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. What do you do with this guy? So I think Beis Shammai says Beis Hillel says he works the half a day for this one and he works the half a day for this one, and then Beis Shammai says that it doesn't help him out. So because he can't marry a Jew because he's a half Eved, he can't marry a Shifcha because he's half a Jew. So he forced the Eved, the part that owns him as an Eved, to free him. What's the halacha carbon Pesach? Lo yochel mishal shnei, lo yochel mishal Rabbi. He doesn't eat from his master. Why? Because probably the das was that his master went ahead. He wanted to go ahead and speak about the part that was freed, not the Eved part. Rashi says in the Mistama, lohoya das Rabbi limanes chelik cheres al pisroi. The Mistama, he didn't have in mind to count the cheres part. He only wanted to do the Eved part because he owned him, right? He owned. I own half of you. I have in mind by the Korban Pesach the ownership that I have in you, but the fact I don't own half of you, so therefore you're not counted in. So we have 4 cases, right? We have the first case of minastam, husband, father. Minastam, she goes to father. Second case is the case of what? Of going back the first yontif to daddy, and therefore she writes to mizeh, writes to mizeh, and it's a breira shayla. Then we have napotropis, and then we have the Eved, 2 cases of an Eved. An Eved that's owned by Shutfin, and an Eved that's Chatzi Eved, Chatzi Bas Chayrin. Shmami, we hear from here, Yesh Breira. Guys, you hear Breira again. One more time. Let's get this Breira good. Guys, what's Breira? Breira is that an act later on shows what I had in mind earlier. So, for example, a guy goes ahead and says, I have 2 wives who have the same name. My name is Harry, and I have 2 wives that named Sheila. Okay? We know a get has to be written Lishma. So listen, they're both named Sheila, write the name in the get, and whoever I give it to, it'll go ahead retroactively show who I had in mind, B'shas, you wrote it. That would be Breira. Who I did over here, eat wherever you want, B'shas Achila, and that will show who you had in mind, what I had in mind, B'shas, the Shchita of the current Pesach. That's Breira. The problem is we hold in Breira. Good. And for the Gemara, my rights to B'shas Roitza. You know what it means she wants? It doesn't mean B'shas Achila, guys. It means B'shas Shchita. It means at the time of the Shchita. At the time of the Shchita. Okay. What does it mean the time of the Shchita? That she states, I want to be in daddy's carbon. I want to be in my hubby's. Good. Problem. What's the Chiddush? Guys, what's the Chiddush? In other words, if you're telling me she verbalizes and says, I want to be part of daddy, or I want to be part of my husband. So that's no chiddush. She's just verbalizing who she's counted in, right? Look at this Taisus. Taisus tells you the chiddush. Top Taisus. Ha'isha, top Taisus. Ma roitza b'shah shchita. You know what roitza means? It means she states at the time of shchita. V'dafka birura b'shah shchita. Guys, dafka, if she makes a statement b'shah shchita. Avaloi birura. Let's see, she doesn't make a statement b'shah shchita. She doesn't say anything. Eino echeles. Loi mishel zeh, v'loi mishel zeh. You don't eat either one. She loses the Korban Pesach. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. In other words, aval bereisha afilu stama echeles mishel baila. Guys, beautiful Gemara. Guys, beautiful Gemara. Let's go outside. Beautiful Gemara. A woman gets married. Her father, she was in her father's house for many years, right? She got married. Now, they both shech the Korban Pesach. Min hastam, without any other factor, who does she have in mind? Her husband. You don't need it to verbalize it. Her husband. What happens if we have? What happens if we have a shter and share? What happens if we have what? What? What happens, guys? What happens if we have a reason to believe that it's not so pashut with the husband? Why? Because it's the first regel after she got married. And the first regel after she gets married, if you have a married daughter, it starts this year is my turn, and this year is my turn. Harry smile. This year is my turn. The first. So you hear? Yeah. So then I don't have the stam. Then she has to verbalize it. And so what's the chiddush if she has to verbalize it? Then it's pashut, right? It's no chiddush. If she says daddy, it's daddy. If she says hubby, it's hubby. The chiddush is, since I don't know min hastam which one, and she didn't verbalize it, she would lose both. She couldn't eat by either one.
So if the husband makes a declaration, that wouldn't be good for her.
No.
She has to do it.
Husband has in mind. You could have in mind. Husband's declaration doesn't help it.
She has to register.
You have to register the Korban Pesach.
So each isha that a person has to register.
Each isha, each son, each eved. Each eved, eved has to be registered. Yeah.
Sounds not right. Isha is because Mashkan Isha.
No, I would thought she goes there for a bow. Right. As a matter of fact.
No, it's not such a. She's a mechuyev. She's a mechuyev mitzvahs. I don't understand you.
Okay. So
I understand it. She's mechuyev mitzvahs.
But the son could have, because
you see clearly from this, not like that.
That's only the first year.
Right. Only the first year, right? Only the first year because you don't have the stam for the husband, right? Exactly. But it's that first year ruins the stam. And that's what places machadish. If you don't have the stam, you don't have stam either way, right? So therefore, that's the chiddush. It's an important place to clarify the sugya.
What about a chazaka?
It's no chazaka. Where's chazaka? She just got married. Okay, now chazaka is where you have a suffix. There's no suffix over here. We all know which one. This one, Now, Freddy Gemara Kasha. Uriminu, I'll ask you a stira. Isha regala rishain eichelis mishel avia. The first one she eats of her father, right? The first regal eats of the father. So in other words, it's not minastam. Mikan ve'elech writes eichelis mishel avia, writes mishel baila. And now mikan ve'elech means what? After the first year, right? So 1 second. You told me after the first year it's stam the husband, but you see over here not like that, right? You told me after. In other words, you said stam the first year is what we don't know, but stam the second year it's husband. We said over here either one. So no, kash, not a problem. Question: does she like running home to daddy or not? In the Brisa we said she likes running home to daddy, and our Mishnah that's what. No, our Mishnah is speaking where she doesn't run home to daddy, and then since she doesn't run home to daddy, then stoma is her husband. That's our Mishnah. Okay, says the Gemara. Right? Like a kala who's found perfect in her husband in her father-in-law's house. She goes home to tell daddy that she rates. Now, the rest of the Gemara is the Garta. The rest of the Gemara, just off this pasuk, it's a garata. You can go home now, right? You read your scroll. Says the Gemara. Now, take out the word kidduch siv, because it makes no sense. It's ksiv. Kidduch siv, I mean, going back on what you just said. But we had a pasuk that went back on what you just said. So it says ksiv. This now, guys, this is the this is a pasuk by Hosea. V'hoya b'yamahu num Hashem, says Hashem tikri ishi. She will call me my man, like tikri le'oid bali, and won't call me anymore. I'm bali. But ishi is when is b'shas nesuin, bali is b'shas erison. It's the marshal. I'm Rabbi Yochanan, kikala beis chamia, like a kala in a beis chamia, like kikala beis avia, but not like a kala beis avia. Now, the beginning of the pasuk, where the pasuk says, the pasuk said, "Asa yisi bein of k'moitz shalom." We're going to dash in the beginning of that pasuk, which is Shir Shirim. What does it say in the beginning of the pasuk? Achas lanu katana. Our sister is a katana, which shadayim mein la. She has no breasts. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Zu elam. This refers to elam. This refers to the elam in Persia, where the Nile was. Shezachsa lilmod v'lei zachsa l'lamed. They were zeicha to teach, and they weren't zeicha to learn, but they weren't zeicha to teach. So shadayim, allegorically, we're saying shadayim is like to feed, like the dad feeds the child, the Talmid Chacham feeds Torah to others. So when we say that she's like a katana without shadayim, meaning there's no Torah being going, there's no nourishment going on, the spiritual nourishment. Ani chayma v'shadai kimigdalos. Ani, I'm a wall. Again, this is the pasuk there in Shir Hashirim. V'shadai, and my breasts kimigdalos. They're like what? Towers. Like a migdal protects. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Ani chayma zu Torah v'shadai kimigdalos. Elo tamidei chachamim. Again, just like the shadayim nurse, tamidei chachamim nurture, and tamidei chachamim protect us with the Torah. V'rava amar ani chayma zu knesses Yisrael. V'shadai kimigdalos. Elo bati knisias is bati midrashiyos. This refers to the bati knisias and bati midrashiyos. Amrav Sutra Batuvia Amarav, Maidich Siv, when it says Asher Beinenu Kinetiem, our sons are like saplings, Migudolim Benurehem, Migudolim growing Benurehem in their youth, Benaisenu Kizavias, our daughters are like Zavias, corners Michutabais, Tabnis Ahechel, cut stone like the tabnis of the Hechel. Now going over that pasuk, Asher Beinenu Kinetiem, Ela Bachura Yisrael. These are Natir Yisrael, they're loy tam chet. Just like a sapling hasn't been around long enough to get marred or charred and affected by the elements, right? So too, these young Bachrim Yisrael are untainted, similar to what the saplings that are untainted. That they cover up their openings for their husbands, even though they're mitzvah, they wait for the husband and they don't give in to taiva. And Rashi brings the second shot is that the oigdois lashon to tell, to be magid, they tell their husbands to fight their own desire that they're tamei tumas nida. It says umalu kimizrak kazavias mizbeach, and they're full kimizrak of pot kazavias mizbeach. Look at Taisus kazavias mizbeach malahalan dam. Afkan dam nidos, right? That would be a very complete comparison to Rashi's second shot. Right. Another pasuk. The pasuk says, "Mizavenu malayim afikim mizan alzon." Our corners were full, providing from harvest to harvest, and mechutavos tavas hechel. That refers to elu ve'elu mala leim. Both these, the Bechur Yisrael and the Bnei Yisrael, the Besulis, is considered ilu nivna hechel min mehem. As if the Heichel was built in their days. Okay, I've got an interesting Maisa now with Hosea, the Navi Hosea. One of we say Treyasa, there's a book called Treyasa. Hosea was from the I think it's the first book in Treyasa actually. And if I remember it's Mefurish Torah card, Hosea was he was put on a camel and his body was brought back there. It's Israel miraculously from wherever he was, and that's he was buried as a result. Okay, what does it say? I could use. No, I could use an art scroll just simply for the psukim or Gemara. This Gemara, the blue Gemara, it has the psukim. I don't need the art scroll. This Gemara, I need a Gemara with psukim. I agree. I can use the Pesachim has Pesukim. It has the full Pesukim here. I had it over there. Okay, I'm going to read you the full pasuk that it says in Yeshaya. I'm going to read you the full pasuk. The pasuk says, "Devar Hashem asher hoyu al Hoshea ben Be'eri, bimei Hoshea the son of Be'eri, bimei in the days of Uziyahu, Yosim, Achaz, and Chizkiyahu, Malchei Yehuda, bimei Yerovam ben Yoash melech Yisrael." And we know the Malchus was divided. The Malchus, the first king was Shaul. And then Shaul lost the Malchus. The next king, of course, was David. The next king was his son Shlomo, and the next king after Shlomo was his son Rechavam. And he was the king. However, because of something that occurred, the Malchus was split. Yeravam ben Nevat, he went and he settled up north, and he set up Eglei Zohav in Beis El in the Chelik of Dan. He put sentries up and he stopped people from being able to be Oil Regel. And that's how you got the 10 Shvatim were under the auspices of Malchei Yisrael. Yehuda, Levi, and Binyamin were on the auspices of Malchei Yehuda. So the Malchus was split. So it says over here that this person, Hoshea, the Navi Hoshea, he prophesied in the lifetime of 4 Nevi'ei Malchei Yisrael. Uziyahu, Yosim, Achaz, and Chizkiyahu, right? And in the days he includes Yerovam ben Yoash Melech Yisrael, who was Melech Yisrael. And so what does it say? Daber Hashem Dvar Hashem Shahaya al Hoshea Bimei Uziyahu, Yosim, Achaz, Yecheskel, Melech Yehuda. The Perek Echem Nisnavu Dal Nevi'im. This Perek, 4 Nevi'im said Nevuah. The Gadol Shebekul and Hoshea, and the greatest one of all of them was Hoshea. Shneimar, who were the 4 Nevi'im? Chilas Dvar Hashem by Hoshea, right? The beginning of the Dvar Hashem was by Hoshea. It says where Hoshea, David Chila, did Hashem speak to Hoshea initially? When Moshe had Hoshea, how many Nevi'im more from Moshe to Hoshea? Many. So Rabbi Yochanan, the Chila L'Arba Nevi'im, Nisnavu, by Say Perek. He was the first one of these 4. Elohein, Hoshea, Yeshaya, Amos, Umicha. Okay, 4 Nevi'im. Hoshea, Yeshaya, Amos, Micha. So he was the Tchila. He was the first of the 4. Amalei Kodesh Baruch Hu. Listen to this conversation. Hoshea. Banecha Chatu. Your sons, you called Bnei Yisrael the sons of Hoshea. They're guilty of being chaytan. What he should have said. He should have gone ahead and said, but Necha your kids. Bonai Chanunecha. Right? Heim Bnei Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Galgul Rachamecha Aleim. So in other words, he should have said, these are your sons, the sons that you should be gracious to, the sons of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, and you should go ahead and have Rachman. So Hoshea should have gone ahead and found favor, he should have argued. He should have been, I'm looking for a word. He should have been a Melis Yasher, right? In this world for them. Advocate. Thank you. Right. Excellent. He should have been an advocate. So it says, it's not enough that he didn't say that. He said, listen to him. The whole world belongs to you. You know what? So go get another nation. That's what Hoshea said. They were chayta, so go get another nation. No problem. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, ma'aseh l'zaken zeh. What should I do this to zaken Hoshea? So Oimeloi, he told Hoshea, Leich v'kach isha zayna. Go get him. Go get married to an isha zayna. V'hoy l'cha banim zenunim, and she'll give birth to you banim zenunim. You know what banim zenunim are? You don't know if they're your kids or not. She's a zayna. You don't know if they're your kids or not. Those are banim zenunim. Then and afterwards, I'll say to him, Sholcha me'al panecha, go ahead and divorce her. Imhu yochel shleach afani yashalach Yisrael. So Kadosh Baruch Hu said this to himself. I'm going to tell him to do this. If he can go ahead and send them away, then I'll go ahead and send Yisrael away. Shenemar, because the pasuk says, Vayoyim Hashem el Hoshea leich kach lecha eshes zenunim v'yoldei zenunim. And she'll go ahead, she'll give birth to Zenunim. Chsiv, it says, Vayelech, Vayikaches, Goimer Bas Devloyim. He went ahead and he took a woman called Goimer Bas Devloyim. Goimer, why was she called Goimer? Amarav, Shakol Goimrim Bob. Everyone was Goimer, they're being her. They were so they're gonna be in her. Bas Devlayim, the daughter of Devlayim. Devlayim means two Diba. Dibara, Bas Dibara. She was a Zaina, and her mother was a Zaina. So this is a very yichus. Grace yichus. Right? Ushmul Amar, why was she called Devlayim? Shemesuka b'pia kol kidvela. They would speak about her like being with a piece of sweet, like a date. Or Rabbi Yochanan Amar shekol doshim b'kidvela. Everyone, okay, you get the message. Dav Racha Goimer Amar Rabbi Yehuda shebiksu ligma mamuna shel Yisrael. You know, Mavakish is that time to go ahead and get rid of all the Jewish money. Be a mecha in our days. Rabbi Yochanan Amar bazazu b'gomer. Taka did do it. Shnemar because the pasuk says. Where's the pasuk? Oh, ki loy hisher liyayas loyachas im ki im chamishim proshim v'asara recha v'asara zalafim ragli ki ibna melech Aram. Melech Aram took all the money by Yasimim ka'afal adosh. So in those days they became poor. It says, okay, what happened? Getting back to the story. So Hosea marries Goimer Bas Devlayim. Vatar v'telu laben. She gives birth to a son. Vayom Hashem elav. Hashem says, call him Yisrael. Call this son Yisrael. Rashi Tosfos says, Yisrael al shema asid she Yisru b'goyla. Why in the future the Jews are going to be planted throughout the Golas. So call this guy Yisrael. Ki oid ma'at, right? The pasuk ki oid ma'at b'kardias to make Israel. I'll beiseyu. In a little bit of time, I'll visit the blood of Yisrael on beiseyu. V'shafti mamlachas beis Yisrael. And I'll destroy and end the Malachei Yisrael once and for all. Yehu had 4 sons, and they were finished. That was the end of Malachei Yisrael. That was one. Another pasuk, Vatar v'oid v'teled bas. She gave birth to a bas. V'yoyim Eloi karashma loy ruchama. Imagine naming your daughter that. She would hate you for the rest of her life, right? Loy ruchama, no mercy. Ki loy oyisav oida rachim es beis Yisrael. I won't longer have rachmanas on Yisrael. Right? Kinasi Esau lehem, like forgive them. Vateled ben, a third son, a third child. Vayomer Korishmai loyami, Kiatem loyami, Vanochi loyayelachem. Okay, so therefore you got 3 children, right? Yisrael, loy Ruchama, and loyami. Lachash and Odolay Shtei Banim Basechad. If the Hosea fathered these children, Amalei Hakadosh Baruch Hu Hosea, V'Hayilach Lil Moy B'Moshe Rabcha. You should have learned from Moshe your Rebbe. Shekivin Shedibat the Imai, since I went ahead and spoke to him. Pirish Mina Isha, separated from his wife. Avata Bod Latzim Chamimena, separate. I'm a lawyer. Banshlan. Ishli Banamimena. Main any Yachal Yitzia. The Garsha. Gerishim, once there's a kid in the family, Gerishim is not an option. There's a few Gemaras like that in Shas. But the Gerishim is before the children. Allah Kadosh Baruch Hu, Uma Ata, Sheishtecha Zayna, Ubanecha B'Beis Nunim, Ve'ein Ata Yodeya, Im Shalcha Hein, Im Shalacherim Hein. You don't even know if your kids. Kach Yisrael Shein B'nei Bonai B'Chune, they're the sons of the ones I tested. May Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Echad Me Arba Kinyanim Sheknisi Ba'olam. There are 4 things that I'm coining in this world. Now the whole world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but these 4 things are called Kinyan because they're very dear to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What are they? Right? Tyrus and Kinyan Echad, as it says, the Chsiv, Hashem Koneni Reishis Darkoi, Shemayim V'aretz Kinyan Echad, the Chsiv, Chayne Shemayim V'aretz, Bas Hamigdash Kinyan Echad, the Chsiv, Harzek Knosa Yeminoi, Yisrael Kinyan Echad, the Chsiv, Amzu Kanisa, Yata Marta Avirim Bi'uma Acheres. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he used, how should we say, the experienced approach to give him Musa. And he learned to start a lesson. Since he knew he sinned, he went to daven for himself. Bikesh Racham al Yisrael. Shegasat Yaleim Shalish Gezeros. Bavurecha. I was goyza 3 gezeros and then because of you, right? Amar the Bikesh Rachamim. But now the 3 gezeros, right, was Yisrael, right, and Lo Rachim and Loyami. But the Gezer of Hiskul of Barchan and the Hakadosh Baruch Hu began to bench them. Shnemar, but it says now this is also pasuk is in Hosea. The pasuk says it's a full long pasuk. You can't measure them or count them. In the place where they said, "You're not my nation," b'nei kelchoi. That's all. That's the pasuk. So now, okay. Now, and it says Zaroisili be'aretz, Zaroisili be'aretz. But the next pasuk, Uzratiha li be'aretz, Vichamti esloi ruchama. Then it's a pasuk in Hosea. Uzratiha li be'aretz, Vichamti esloi ruchama, Ramati l'loyami amiata. So you see that you see that it changed. That the Gezer that was battle. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. What was to people who are in authoritative positions? Shed Mechadera says, Ba'alaha will bury that person. The person who's in that authoritative position will be buried. Now, there wasn't any Nevi'im that four kings did not die in their days. So why are the kings dying so young? Because they have the authoritative position. So you see, in authoritative position, it'll bury you. Shnemar, Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amutz, Asher Chaz al Yehuda v'Yushalayim, and the pasuk continues. All right. Stop. B'mei Uziyahu, in the name of Uziyahu 1, Yosem 2, Achaz 3, Chizkiyahu is 4. So you see 4 kings B'mei. In Yeshaya's lifetime, there were 4 kings. So you see the Rabbanis, meaning the head, the authoritative position of the king. It wasn't used right. They buried them. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Yerav ben Yoash, Melch Yisrael, Yimanas Malchi Yehuda. We said earlier, we quoted a pasuk on the Amid Aleph. We quoted a pasuk. It said, Devar Hashem Asher Hoya al Hosheh ben Beiri b'mei. Now these are all Malchi Yisrael. Uziyahu, Yosam, Achaz, Chizkiyahu, Malchi Yehuda. Ubimei Yerav ben Yoash, Melch Yisrael. So why was he Zoicha, the Melch Yisrael, to be counted in with the Malachi Yehuda? After all, Malachi Yehuda are the real Malachim. U'mechaykim ben Raglav. L'yaseh shevet mi Yehuda, u'mechaykim ben Raglav. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted the Malchus in Yehuda. So why is Yerav? This not Yerav ben Nevat. Don't make a mistake. It's Yerav ben Yoash. Why was he Zoicha that he should be counted in with all the others? Why was he Zoicha to be counted in with all the others? That's what the Gemara is asking. He was not Makabel Lashon Hara on Amos. Minolon, how do you know he was counted in? Ichsiv, Devar Hashem Shohayal Yeshua ben Be'eri, B'mei Uzio, Yosem, Achaz, Yechiska, Yechiskiyo, Melch Yehuda, B'mei Yerav ben Yoash, Melch Yisrael. Right, so that's the pasuk I just read to you. Minolon L'Kibel Lashon Hara. How do you know he wasn't Makabel Lashon Hara on Amos? Ichsiv. It says, the pasuk says, Vayishlach Amatzia. Now Amatzia was a kohen love by the Zara. He was a priest loved by the Zara. Vayishlach Amatzia kohen beis El Yeravim Melech Yisrael Leimar. So he sent a message, and what did he say? He said that Kosher Alecha Amos B'kerev Beis Yisrael. What did he say he was guilty of? What did he accuse Amos of? Uksiv Ki Koyamar Amos B'kerev Yamas Yeravam. That Yeravam is going to die by the sword. Amma said, Yeravam, Chas v'shalom, Omar Reiset Tzadikah, Chas v'shalom, that Amos would say such a thing. And he did say it, Ma'esalei, what can I do to him? Shechina Amrloi, it's the Shechina that said it to him. Amr Rebbe Eliezer, Afil b'shas Kashel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is angry, Zoiches HaRachim, he remembers Rachman. Shnemar, this passage we quoted before, Kiloi Oisef Oid, Arachim Es Beis Yisrael. No longer will I be Merachim Al Beis Yisrael. So b'shas Kas, he says Lashon of Rachim. Right? He says lashon of forgiveness. Kadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael lebeina umais. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not plant Klal Yisrael among the umais They should go ahead and be toisif the gerim. The pashut shot is that that gerim throughout history were they were all by Sinai. All the neshamas are by Sinai. The ones that are there today, the ones not there today, and the whereas in the Gullus is that they're scattered throughout. And by us being in different places over the world, it affords the gerim that are there, that are buried, the souls, the pintala yid, the soul that's in the Gentile body, to go ahead and be gathered in. There's other days, like there's a day of Tzaddik has a day that it doesn't mean we're not to Megaya. We're there to go ahead and gather in any kedusha that there is throughout the world. We have to sometimes gather in, and sometimes that kedusha is manifest in the goyim. I heard this from Sully Bornstein. He said a Gavaldik Gavart. He said that if you think about Esther was the ultimate snua, right? Gemara in Yud Gimel Megillah. Esther Magedas Lamadata. She wouldn't even her speech was bitsnias. The whole Purim was all bitsina. Everything was bitsnias, right? Yet she ends up being with Achashverosh, being boil a what? Achashverosh? That's what you do with the Tzaddikus and the Via. Ends up in such a matziv. He said that he quoted the Gemara that Reb Tzaddik and Daf Chesam the Beis. He said that we learn different things from different people. From the Persians, you can learn how to go to the bathroom, and you learn how to have shamish. That's tashmish from the Persians. It's snuas shas tashmish. So she had to be there to get the kedusha, the tzaitis of kedusha of tashmish. She had to take out of there. So it's a more pneumious matter of what's going on. You know, it's a more deeper thing of what's going on over here. So that's another shot over here. Doesn't mean to megayah people. Whatever kedusha there is out there, like gerim, we have to go ahead and take in this tzaitis and gather them in. It's a very
maybe with tikkun. They will go to goals to be masaking something, and that's the tikkun that we get is from the going that they. It says
kadesha yitaisu aleim gerim. You should gather it in. Smash we gather in. It doesn't say in the matakin. It says to gather it in. Shnemar. It says uzrati li be'eretz, right? And I'll plant it be'eretz. Chum adam zareya saw el lahachnis kama kurin. You plant a little bit to get a lot. Rabbi Yochanan Mechachav v'chamti et aloi ruchama. That's the pasuk that Alat Leruchama, that was the name of the girl. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Shemin Yechai Ma'idach Siv Al Talshin Eved El Adoinav. Do not go ahead and mouth the Eved Shemin Malshin Al Adoinav Pen Yikalolecha lest this pasuk Pen Yikalolecha Shamta. That's a pasuk in Mishlei. Ukasiv Dor Aviv Yikalel Ves'ima LeYivarech. You shouldn't just because he didn't curse the father and the mother, he didn't bench. He cursed the father and mother, he didn't bench. That's why al talshin. Even the door that the father is cursed and the mother is not benched, do not say lashon eved, does not say lashon hara, and we know that from Hoshea, that Hoshea learned this lesson not to go ahead and speak Billy about Kal Yisrael, even though it make Kal Yisrael, obviously they weren't doing good things. They were Kal the father, they didn't bench the mother. They learned from Hoshea. The pasuk says in Shoftim, it says Tzidkos per Zoyna. This is in Shiras Devaira. Tzidkos per Zoyna b'Yisrael. What does that mean? Tzidkos per Zoyna b'Yisrael. Tzedakah asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does an act of tzedakah Yisrael. What does he do? Shepazim lebeinu umos. He spreads them out among the nations of the world. V'hainu da'am le'ahu mina Rav Chanina. Ano me'alina me'naichu. I'm better than you. It says by you. What does it say by you? Kisheishes chadashim Yoshev Shom Yayav V'chol Yisrael Adhichus Kol Zacha Be'edom. 6 months they went to war. They stayed in Edom for 6 months. So they killed all the males of Edom. That's the mamish there. The Jews among you were murderers. And says the min, this apikoiris to Yidden, look at you. The Elu Anon Isnuchu Rabban Kamashani. We lived with you for many years. We don't do anything to you. So we're better than you. You lived among Edom, you destroyed them. Us, nothing. Amaloi. So said Reb Shaya, Yitapelcha Talmud Echad. Can I get a Talmud to go ahead and deal with you? So the Tapel Reb Oishia. Rabbi Shia went to go ahead and deal with this man. Amalei mishnulei adisu hechi tavdan. Right? The reason why you don't kill us is you don't know what to do. Tachlinin kuloi, to kill all of us, lesnu gabaychu. All the Jews aren't by you. Because we're all what?
Right.
Tzedakah. That's the tzedakah Klal Yisrael. My deika gabaychu, and whatever we have by you, if you kill us, kari lechu, they'll call you malchuska kitiyasa. They'll call you a murderous malchus. So Amalei, so the min said to Rishaya, Gapa de Ramoy, the Lashon Shvu in towards Avodah Zarah. We go to sleep with this and we wake up with this. In other words, we're thinking about all the time how to get rid of the Jews. But guess what? We don't want to be known as what as a. So I was learning my Chavrusa today. Think about the Holocaust. Think about the Holocaust. In other words, he felt he have to kill all the Jews. He began. The reason he attacked Russia is to get the Talmudists. He wanted to get the Jews. He went to Eretz Yisrael. Everything he did was to get the Jews. Amalek has no limits. They don't. And Nimsa, if they're all said and done, when you think of Germany, all you think about is genocidal murderers. The Nazis. See the word Nazi? Genocidal murderers. They remember with that. My boys were very close to a person of Mark. I've spoken about him. He was a Polish Holocaust survivor. He was married to a, very interesting, he married a rich Wall Street divorcee, a Balish Tshuva. And they had a wonderful marriage. They lived in Yerushalayim, lived in Monsey. And he would learn in Or Sameach, and she was very wealthy. She was a very, very successful Wall Street lawyer. And in Eretz Yisrael, he would have sudas for people, bring them over. He would advertise Pesach Seder. He advertised the Pesach Seder. At the Pesach Seder, he got up and said, V'hisha Amda, and he told his story, how he survived, and they tried to kill us throughout the generations, and they couldn't, and he survived the Germans. After it's over, two girls come over, blonde hair, blue-eyed shikses, German exchange students in Israel. They saw the sign, and they wanted to come to a Jewish Seder. And they say, it's true. We all hate you. We just know how to get rid of you better. And they said, Rabbi, can you give us a blessing?
That's the question. Wow.
And then he said, I bless that you should marry Orthodox Jews. I'm saying, you all hate you. We all hate you. We all hate you. But we did it better. We were able to go ahead and make murder massive scale. And it's true. You go ahead, you learn this Gemara. They think about it all the time. But somebody said, let all the Jews go to Israel so we can throw an atom bomb in Israel and we'll get rid of all of them. But guess what? Chol Davadar, Amar Aleinu Chalaseinu, and Baruch Hashem, we'll have the last laugh. Okay. Maybe we'll stop.
Rabbi.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.